Hello, gentle marketers. Sarah here. This is the final episode of a special mini series about my Kickstarter campaign. It's coming to an end. Actually, as I'm recording this, there's another hour to go. And don't know if anything else will happen, but I am totally happy with what's been going on. As I'm recording this, we are at 112 backers, so 112 people who supported the crowdfunding event. And I wanted to come on and share with you my overall impression of this marketing event. So really the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's start with the good. I definitely enjoyed learning about Kickstarter, learning how to use this different platform, engaging with a lot of content from other Kickstarters and kind of learning what they were doing and then seeing, okay, what fits for me, what doesn't. So all of that learning was exciting for me. It kind of filled my curiosity thirst, let's say. I also had fun setting up the campaign page. So coming up with my story, making sure that it resonates with people. We did a video at the lake together with Tony, my husband. It was, let's say it was partly fun. It was fun now that I go back to the lake and look at the location where we filmed it. During the video, it's just not my thing. It's always, to me, stressful to have to sell something. So wasn't my favorite part. I can't say it was my favorite part, even though we picked a gorgeous day and I'm happy with how the video turned out. Just not my favorite thing to sell on video. I also had fun coming up with the different reward levels. So that's kind of one of the Kickstarter things. You have to come up with different levels of reward, different levels of how people can choose to support you. And, besides the book, obviously I had to come up with different things. And so that was, fun to me. It was like, I saw it as kind of this game to see, well, how much are people willing to, pay and what would be a good way for me, or what would be good things to give away, for those different levels. So, I added in mid-campaign, I added something I called the Creative Gentle Marketer, and it was a workshop I did last year about the creative process of marketing. And so I thought that would be a fun kind of lower level commitment. I think I made it available for $25. And it was more, so they got the book and they got that recorded workshop. So it was like, it's a bit more than the book, but it just shows that you are committed. And then hopefully people found that interesting as well. It was always also kind of like difficult to understand whether people who were supporting the Kickstarter were just trying to support me and the mission, or if they were actually interested in, well, obviously the book, but in the other rewards. So I think that's one of the things that I probably would do a bit differently if I had to do it again, because I saw other Kickstarter campaigns. One comes to mind who does astrology, and he really has these really great different reward offers that you are really interested in getting those different rewards, right? And so his whole business is kind of built on those different rewards, which is difficult with a book. It's a completely different thing. My idea was, let's launch this book, help me get the funds to put the book out there. So it's a different approach. But again, I had fun creating these different rewards. And then during the campaign, I contacted Denise, my sketch designer again, and we came up with some fun visuals with our sheep theme. So that was really fun. I really thought it was a great way to share about the book and put the message out there with a focus on something else, with a focus on creating momentum, on doing something together, on creating a community, rather than just focus on the book, buy the book and that's it. So I like that. And I also like that now that the Kickstarter is over, I'm going to go into the gentle book birthing or book launch in February, which is going to be during the Random Acts of Kindness week. So it's almost like it gives me 2 different times to talk about the book, but in different ways. I also really, really appreciate the fact that you are creating a community of different people who are really committed and who really believe in your project, believe in your book. So it doesn't really matter how big that community is, but these people, they're like, yes, I want you to put that book out there. So that really feels supportive. And so you're no longer always thinking about the numbers, gotta go big, because you're like, even if there's 10 people, these are 10 people who are saying, yes, we want you to write that book. What else? Yeah, it was fun actually to use the updates to communicate with the people who back the project. And so I decided to add some video. I didn't actually see a lot of other Kickstarters use video to communicate. I thought it was a fun way to add some personality. Not sure that everybody, I know that my people appreciate it. Not sure that all the other Kickstarter people were used to that kind of communication. But to me, it was fun to share that way. All right. So that was the fun part. The not so fun part, or kind of more difficult stages, were definitely the first 2 days. They were intense. They were like a bit scary to put this thing out there. And this, obviously the fear of failure was really like written on the wall in huge letters. Am I going to make the goal or not? And what am I doing? I'm putting myself out there. So yeah, the first 2 days were intense. Luckily, luckily we hit the goal on day 3. Otherwise, maybe that feeling would have been even prolonged and much longer. I'm not sure though, because even on day 2, when I saw people were, engaging, reacting, I was like, oh, we got this. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. Same thing with the milestone with 100 backers. I had, as a second milestone, I had 100 backers, and so between, I would say, probably 80 backers and 100 backers, probably like 2 weeks went by, and it was just like super slow in the middle. There was this long plateau where, again, it was just like so important to practice patience and let go of this feeling of failure. Because I just kept thinking, even if we don't get to the 100 people, it doesn't matter, and I'll share whatever I wanted to share with the people to celebrate anyway. It's my Kickstarter. I can do whatever I want. So I think, it would have gone away even if I didn't hit the goal on day 3. So yeah, the first 2 days were intense. And then, as I already mentioned, right now, the long plateau in the middle took some getting used to. After the initial momentum, it's like, whoa, okay, now we're like really slowing down. Nothing's happening. And so it almost felt like maybe I chose too many days for the event to take place, because at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to keep sharing, keep talking about this Kickstarter. People are going to get annoyed. So I kind of just left it for 2 weeks and then started to pick it up again towards the end and talk again about it towards the end. What I learned, quite a few things. So I think at the very beginning, when we hit the goal of 3,000 Swiss francs or dollars on day 3, there were some people who commented and said, well, maybe you should have put the goal a bit higher. So that was one reflection I had, because I do think that on Kickstarter, maybe people, once you hit your funding goal, maybe they're like, oh, good, you're good to go. No need for me to back you up anymore. So maybe I could have put it at 4,000. But at the same time, it was such a good dopamine hit to get to the goal that I'm happy with, whatever goal I set. Another thing I learned is that people really actually wanted the print version of the book, where I decided I'm only going to give away the ebook or the EPUB or Mobi copy because of ease. I wanted it to be easy, and I just saw myself sitting at my desk and writing all these mailings and then going to the post office, and it sounded like admin stuff that I don't enjoy. And B, I also knew, since I have people, all over the world, or mainly in the US as well, that it was going to be expensive. And so I just couldn't do that. And so some people were like, yeah, I'd rather wait to get the print version on Amazon. And I totally understood that. So maybe if I do it again, maybe then I would say, okay, fine, I will do the print version and get some help, hire some help to then send them out. Because you can charge extra for shipping, so that's not the problem. I think people would have happily paid for shipping, but they just really wanted to hold a real book in their hands. The other thing I learned also is that if you are planning on publishing on Amazon and really use KDP Select, my coach tells me that it's not ideal to have all these people buy your book basically on Kickstarter, because then they don't count as sales in the real Amazon launch. She ended up finding a sneaky way to count them anyway, but it needs some planning, and you need to realize that if you do sell, if I had sold like 5,000 books through this Kickstarter, then all these books or all these sales wouldn't count on Amazon. And that matters for ranking, and same old thing always. It's always about the algorithm. And so you're basically losing out on the game for Amazon. You're winning on Kickstarter and you're losing out on Amazon. So something to keep in mind. You really need a solid communication plan beforehand, and you really need to know, how you're going to communicate about this thing. And I did put in a lot of effort and work into the communication beforehand, and that came in handy because then everything just kind of flowed. So I wasn't stressed out or anything. Don't expect a lot of traffic from Kickstarter. You are really the one generating the traffic, unless you get lucky and you have something really unique and you get featured by Kickstarter as one of the projects they love. And maybe that happens. You can't count on it. And so I do admit that I expected more traffic from Kickstarter directly, and that didn't happen. In the stats, it says it's about 25% of the sales I made were from Kickstarter, which is still great. These are people that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to be in touch with. So to me, that's still great, but it just goes to show again that you can't expect them to just send you loads of traffic. You need to do the work. And I also think, just like everything you do, expect there to be a learning curve. Your first Kickstarter is not going to be the same as your fifth, right? So obviously the first one, you're learning the trade, you're learning how this works. And I know from other Kickstarters who have done it several times, you learn as you go. And I think it really matters how you present your story. It matters what kind of rewards you're choosing. And then there's part of it that's luck, whether Kickstarter is going to feature your project or not. You can't know that in advance. I also really think that it helps if your audience is young and creative. So they're kind of on the younger side. And as I'm saying this, I'm like, I'm not sure that it matters if they're young, because I see, some of the backers that are regular backers, because that's really what I'm saying is like my audience is they're not in their 20s. But the ones that I see from Kickstarter that are regulars, maybe they're a bit on the younger side, but again, maybe as I'm saying this, maybe that's not true. What I do think is that if you already have an existing audience that is similar to the Kickstarter audience, meaning they are creatives, they are, kind of on the alternative side of things, then I think you'll do much better on Kickstarter compared to some of my people kind of told me, what's this Kickstarter? Never heard of it. Another platform to sign up, another password to remember. And one person actually said, I really don't like the concept. I don't like this idea. And I don't like the name. So this idea of, kickstarting, I guess, doesn't resonate with everybody. So if you already have an audience that, is on that platform, then definitely that's so totally worth exploring. Yeah, so that's kind of the things that I learned. And would I do it again? I think I would. I totally would, but maybe not for another book. I think I would come up with another idea that, is not a book. But again, I think really the juice is in the different rewards. My rewards were kind of limited because people, I was promoting the book, so people were mainly buying the book. And it would have been nice to have, different rewards that all kind of got people's interest. And that wasn't so much the case in my Kickstarter. So, I can't think of anything right now that I would, want to launch on Kickstarter. But again, I think someone who creates regular content, such as this person I'm thinking of who does all these astrology videos and, monthly or daily videos, kind of this regular content can do so well on Kickstarter, because then you have so many different reward levels that you can sell. So yeah, I would do it again, but I have to spend some time thinking about what that might be, and not planning on anything right now. And who knows, maybe I will do another book, and just by then I'll have some other ideas for the rewards. So that's what I have. I hope you find this helpful. And if you are planning a Kickstarter, definitely leave a comment or reach out to me, and I'd be delighted to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening. Speak soon.